Hi guys, welcome back to the second video on this channel. If you haven't seen the first video, go back and watch it again. My name's Fuzz, I guess. I don't know if on these videos if I tell you I'm Daryl or I'm Fuzz or what you guys know, but those of you that watch me already know I'm known as Fuzzball40. But yeah, either ways, my name's not really relevant, let's be honest. Yeah, if you haven't watched the first video yet, go back and watch it. It's a bit of background for what we do and how we do it, etc. But from now, for these videos onwards, our aim is to sort of help you guys learn how to make money doing this as well. You guys can join the journey of us and see what we're doing. And yeah, just, I guess, give you guys a heads up in terms of how we're getting on, how you can do better, how we can do better, and what we're doing to be better, if that makes sense. But again, a short intro in terms of the fact that we are a vintage sort of, I guess vintage resellers, is that what you'd call it? Yeah, I'd say vintage resellers. But we don't just buy vintage, we buy second-hand stuff as well. It's good for the environment, it makes money, it's like the perfect sort of job in one. But a bit of an update from the first video. If you remember the first video, we talked about this bag that I had picked up from a car boot sale for a couple of quid. Nice Adidas for hold. We have now gone and sold this. It's already been sold for nearly £30. Paid £2 for it. So, update for you guys is we saw it, we knew it was a good buy, we picked it up, we bought it, and we sold it. But this video today is essentially me talking to you guys about how to get set up with selling. So, in my opinion, the worst thing you can go and do is just go, right, let me go out and buy loads of stuff. Doing a bit of research helps, but getting yourself set up across social media platforms and selling platforms is far more important. So we're going to talk about the obvious ones today, Depop, eBay, but also what I call the cycle, and that is having loads of different mechanisms to draw traffic to those places for you guys to make sales. So we've just set up our eBay, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. I'm talking about Depop. For those of you that don't know about Depop, give you a bit of heads up about Depop. And for those of you that already know about Depop, some things that we found that have worked, some things we found that haven't worked. And I guess go from there. So I'm going to be back in 2 seconds with our Depop page. I'll see you then. Alright guys, so this is our Depop page. Now, we've only been really selling, I guess, full time on it now for about a month. In that time, we've sold 32 things. So basically one a day is what we're selling at the moment. Obviously, we'd like that to increase, but bit by bit, as we build it up, we will do that. It will happen. And this is what I say to you about the spread of stuff we have. We have random bits of vintage, random bits of second-hand clothing. It's a complete mishmash of different stuff. So that's the Ferrari jacket you saw us pick up yesterday. The cap, we've already had an offer on that cap, but I've turned it down. I'm going to hold out for the 12 quid. But yeah, so this is essentially what it is, and these were our sold items. The most important thing I'm going to tell you right now about this is these here. So as you can see, we've sold 32 things, and we've got 28 reviews. Now, reviews are massively important on Depop. They are hugely, hugely important. What we did when we first started out was we undersold some of the stuff that we had. So we made profit of it, but we undersold compared to what we thought the value was worth, or we'd take a slightly lower offer. We're still doing that to a degree at the moment because we're trying to build up our reputation on Depop. Think of Depop like a high street. That's what I think of it as. There's loads of people on there that are your competitors, so you want to make sure that you're better than them if you can. And we make friends with some guys, some people that sell, we get to know them. Number one, because sometimes they'll buy something off us, or we'll buy something off them that might be better suited for our audience. But number two, because you don't want to annoy people, but they are our competitors. We're looking to either undersell over them, or we're looking to give people reasons to come back to us. And so we have a couple of succinct rules that we have for Depop selling, which you guys should take forward as well. The first of this is the most important one, and that is post the items quickly. And I always say this to everyone, and I see people that I know sell, and they do it once a week. They send all their stuff out once a week, and they go and do it in one big batch. And yes, that is more economical for time, I'll give you that. But when you're trying to start up a business working with vintage, people don't want to be waiting around for ages. They really don't want to wait around for ages. So our rule is we'll post same day. So if you pay for it and it's before sort of 2, 3 p.m, we'll usually post that same day. The latest we will post it is the next morning. We always do that because we don't want people waiting around for goods for ages, or for the new top they've got. Some people are buying that top for a night out, or for going to see someone, or a date, or whatever it is. So we like to get our stuff sent very, very quickly. But that's still something we do, and we stick to that. So even if we're busy as anything, if I'm doing something with the FIFA side of stuff, which is what I do full time, we make sure we get down to the post office to get it sent. It doesn't take long. Yes, it's more economical to do it in one batch, but do I think that's the best way to treat people that are essentially helping to pay my bills? Not really. I'd rather spend the extra 10 minutes to walk down to the post office and make that happen. I say he does it. He's over there. You probably hear him laughing in the background now. But that's the first thing. That's the most important thing to know. Second thing is thinking about postage costs. Now, most t-shirts can be sent as a large letter. So if you can pass me a postage bag, if you've got one over there. We went and got postage bags. Now, first thing to note about these postage bags, we got degradable postage bags. We didn't get cheap ones. We got ones that, okay, it didn't cost much more, but our bags do decompose. You can put them onto a compost heap and they will decompose. But we get postage bags, and what we'll do is we'll put a t-shirt into it, and we will squeeze the air out of it to bring our costs down. So we don't look to make profit from our postage costs, but sometimes costs can be higher than you thought they were going to be, and actually what you sold the top for maybe 10 quid, and you're thinking, right, after fees I've got £6 or £7 profit, it suddenly becomes £3 or £4 if you don't send it right. We also send our stuff second class, unless it's a t-shirt or something and it's maybe 50p more to send it first class, we'll send it first class just as a sort of a favour to the buyer. But I recommend investing in bulk, in good postage bags that are waterproof. Ideally try and go for degradable because it's better for the environment. But more than that, you can say that now. More than that, just make sure that you're sending in a consistent manner and get proof of postage. Always get proof of postage. It is vitally, vitally important. You don't want someone to turn around and say it didn't arrive. I know some people send recorded and that's all well and good, but what we do is send it standardly with proof of postage. It gets weighed. We've never had a dispute yet of anyone saying it, but on my old business we did have disputes, and usually Royal Mail can turn around and say that's usually what a t-shirt would cost to send, and we did deliver it to the property, and you're usually fine and covered that way. So that's massively important. Next thing to talk about is your photos. Now we're trying out a lot of different stuff at the moment with photos. So we've got your generic laid on the bed stuff, but I'm going to be blunt with you. The quality of these pictures is not good enough. Like we know that, we're aware of that fact. But when we used to have the business separated off, we now operate from one place, all the garms in one place, and that makes it a lot easier. But before we were operating, my brother taking the stuff to his, doing stuff, and then me sort of doing stuff here. So now we brought it into one place, and so you can see the photo here. They're not great quality at all. So what we went and did, we go back to profile, is yesterday we started upgrading our photos. So if you look at the quality of this compared to that one, we're hanging on the back of a door obviously, but the lighting's much better. It's much more clear. There's much more to it than what there is normally. So we're looking to increase that. It's vitally important. Photos are incredibly important because they allow people to see what they're buying realistically, and you want as much clarity as you possibly can. So like if we look at, I don't know, these are ones we took yesterday, we've got good lighting behind us. I'm going to show you the setup we do in a minute as well, you'll see that. But you can see just the quality of the badge and label there, the quality of the logo, it's much more clear. So I would say from day dot, make sure you get your photos good. But it's important to know you do not need to use a ridiculous camera. Most phones these days are good. I have the Huawei P30 Pro is what I use, and it is brilliant. The camera's fantastic on it. You don't need to go out and buy a ridiculous camera. If you want to, go ahead and do it. But when you're first starting out a business on this, do you really want to be spending that sort of money on a camera? In my opinion, no, not at all. We've got a photo light that I use for my streaming as well. It cost me 20 quid, I think, off Amazon. A tripod that I bought from a car boot sale for a £5, which was next to nothing. And my phone that I use anyway generically. That's what we use to take our photos on. And the one question that I've been asked quite a few times is photos of people wearing stuff. So this is my husband Harrison. He's wearing our jacket. Now, yes, it looks cool with people wearing stuff, especially if you've got someone as handsome as him to model it for you. But I found from my experience that stuff that people are wearing doesn't tend to sell as well. So this nautical jacket, for example, is 25 quid. It's very cheap for this jacket. It hasn't sold, so we may think, actually, let's change it up and see if we style it in a different way, will we get someone to maybe potentially pick up the jacket if we maybe take a photo of it a different way. And that's the most important thing. Don't stagnate your profile. Take new photos. Take photos in different places. If something's been sat there for a month, try and think, right, okay, cool. How can I get this more attention to it? How do I get more attention to it? But Depop is great. Depop is, in my opinion, the best place to sell vintage garments without fail. Then there's eBay. eBay, in my opinion, is better for items such as this. It's a random cap that a normal person is probably not going to wear, a Queen Elizabeth II Cunard cap. That's not all. It's a really cool piece, but no one's really going to buy this cap at all on Depop. But eBay, someone will pick that cap up because you get people that collect stuff like that. Even things like the motorsport stuff, that does quite well on eBay because people tend to do it. And eBay have a lot more users than Depop. Understand that. Depop tends to be for your millennials, don't want to say like hipsters, but hipsters, people that are into their clothing, their vintage. That tends to be what Depop is. eBay is everyone. Everyone buys and sells on eBay, so you reach a lot larger audience. The flip side of that is that on eBay, a lot of people don't understand what they're looking at sometimes. Not everyone, but some people don't understand what they're looking at. They think, well, it's just a jacket. Why is that so expensive? So that's something to be mindful of with eBay. Fees are important to factor in as well. So if you sell something on Depop or eBay, you get charged a 10% of whatever you make, including postage. So if it's £13, they will charge you £1.30. Factor that into anything that you buy. That's massively important. Factor that in 100%. And then you can do what we're doing at the moment. And I'm going to be completely honest, everyone does it, we're doing it, which is to mass follow people. Number one, it's good for networking, you get talking to people, and that's great. People then follow you back, and you just want to get a sort of buzz created about your site and what you're doing, all that sort of stuff. You want to get as many people seeing you as possible. So we've got 2,200 followers now. A lot of those are organic, but some of them are people that followed us back after we followed them. It's a really simplistic way to build up an audience on Depop. I see some people that turn their nose up at it. Don't allow those people to put you off doing it. I can guarantee that 95% of the people on Depop have done that at some point. So that's completely fine and okay to do. But that's essentially a sort of a wrap-up of Depop in terms of the way that we sell and what you need to be doing on Depop. What I would say to you is vitally important is monitor your prices. You might list something up and think, okay, cool, that's a good price for it, but then two people might come along and undercut you. Monitor your prices and make sure you factor that in when you're buying something. Don't buy something high because you think, well, on Depop, they're selling for 15 quid. You don't know what it's sold for. You need to know what it's sold for specifically. And factor in that you may have to come down your price. So if someone's saying to you £10 for an Adidas t-shirt and you're thinking, I could get 20 quid for this, you don't want to be paying 10 quid. You want to be knocking them down a bit more than that and saying, okay, cool, maybe 5 maximum. But I mean, I don't even pay that for my Adidas t-shirts if I'm honest with you. But that's Depop. Now we need to talk about the cycle. I'll be right back in a second to explain that to you. I'll see you then. All right, guys. So what do I mean by the cycle? The cycle is whereby you are continue generating interest in sort of, it comes full circle. So when I go onto Instagram, I flick through and see stuff. What I want is to put posts up on Instagram. We're only doing bit by bit. We're only getting into it now. Like, realistically, this is why we're so early in our journey, but we're making money, so it's good. And you want to be putting stuff onto Instagram that links back to your Depop. So, for example, we put this Ferrari jacket on... don't make me log into it. We put this Ferrari jacket onto Instagram yesterday. We got a comment on it. We got 8 likes on it. And then a guy came and spoke to us about it on Depop, so they saw Instagram. And you're creating a cycle from that. We start a YouTube channel, which is to show you guys what we're doing. It creates a hype around that, and people leave the YouTube channel, go over to Depop and have a look at what we've got. We use a Twitter. We use like WhatsApp, without being blunt. We use loads of different mechanisms we possibly can to just have a cycle of people seeing our stuff, going to Depop, going from Depop to the Instagram to the Twitter, and it continually moves. And that's important. It creates hype. It creates traffic. It is what you want people doing. You want people to see stuff and go, actually, I quite like that. Let me check it out. And you want to do that as much as you possibly can. So we're getting into the habit now. Now that we've got the HQ set up and we're good to go, we're now going to get into the habit of every single day without fail posting 1, 2, 3 posts on Instagram, a post on Snapchat, a post on TikTok, and just doing whatever you can to build hype around the brand and around the clothes that you're selling because you want to sell. That's the most important thing, is you want to sell. Now, we're about a month into this journey and we're doing minimal amounts of this. We've already made something in the region of £600. Now, that's not enough to live on full time. Obviously, I do my job full time, which is streaming FIFA. But it's a very hefty extra income for very little work that we've done in terms of the marketing of it. We've just bought what I think are quite decent garms at decent prices and sold them at decent prices. But it's vitally important in terms of how you realistically want to create, like, I guess, a buzz around your shop. So that's how the cycle works, and that's the platforms in general. I'm literally going to show you now essentially how we take pictures and what we do, so you guys can get an idea of it. I've got some knowledge of it from what I do with my channels already, but you guys will see that right now, so I'll be right back. Alright guys, so this is the photography setup that we have in Fuzzy HQ. But basically, I'd say to you now, if you're just starting out, don't stress too much about this, because just decent quality garms will sell full stop. Use the profit you make to invest afterwards, but this hasn't cost us a lot. So this light here, now you can see it there, I don't know if you can see it against that. This light here is what I use for my streaming, so it sits in front of me normally. I can adjust the brightness as I want to adjust the brightness, and I can change it up, but I tend to use a white light on it. We literally paid 20 quid for that, and then the tripod we bought for a car boot cell, we can just go on for a fiver. The 25 quid for that, and I'm using my phone, my camera phone. That's the only expense I have realistically. Like, my phone does it already, I have to have a phone, so it's fine. But important thing, the reason why we've done it here is, number one, white door, white background. So anything that's coloured is going to pop on that, especially with the light coming off of this. It's going to draw attention to the colour. You'll see it on our Depop. It's got like the colours are really bright and they shine. But we also space limited, so we decided, you know what, our garms could be in this corner here. The light is boxed in. It's perfect. That's all you need. You don't need anything more than this. I see people talk about their Depops on YouTube and they're like, I've got 84 lights, all like this, and I've got a screen here, I've got that. You don't need all that sort of stuff, realistically. Once you're full time with it, maybe, and if you're making a lot of money, fantastic, go ahead and treat yourself. But for someone who's just starting out, you don't need that at all. But we also do have a hook here. They're going to see my stuff hanging on the wall, where we can also put stuff here. Now, I wouldn't put a red jacket on a dark background at all, because it doesn't have the pop against the white. but we will put white on the dark wall. So dark wall here, we put white onto because the white then stands out. But that is literally all you need for a setup. In like a decent setup, it's gonna get you decent quality photos. We've noticed that in the 24 hours since we've done this, we're getting more traction, more likes, more people asking about the garms that we've got. Some people are lowballing and sending offers and stuff like that, but we're not gonna accept those ones because they're too low. But that is essentially all you need. You don't need anything more than that. You can do it from your bedroom, you can do it in the office, study. But if you can't afford this sort of stuff right now, use outside. I'm sure you might have a hanging basket thing in your garden you can hang something onto, a tree, anything that you want to do to make it cool and creative and make your thing stand out, that's what you should be doing. Don't feel like you're boxed into doing it inside. If you haven't got any of this stuff, just go outside and take pictures. You can go to your local park and take pictures if you want. But try out stuff. See what works for you, see what doesn't work. And that's realistically all you need to be worried about. Alright guys, so we've talked about Depop in general, things like reviews and what to expect from Depop. I've shown you guys sort of the photo setup we've got. So now you've set up your Depop, you've set up your social media, you've got photographs of your stuff and you've listed it all up onto Depop, yeah? And now let's talk about the sell and setting things at the end. Something that I learned very quickly with Depop was to note how quickly you received offers, if that makes sense. So if I receive an offer very, very quickly, so let's say for example, we listed up something and within an hour, 2 hours, someone's made me an offer, I'll usually not accept that offer. I'll usually hold out for more because it means there's at least a bit of hype there about the item. People might like it, and I'll wait it out. I'm not too much of a stress or too much of a rush to sell stuff if I think actually I can get a bit more for it. However, if something's sat there for a little while, I'm much more inclined to take offers. If we've had something sat there for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, someone comes with an offer, I'm more inclined to accept that because the last thing you want is a stagnated Depop page. You want stuff cycling all the time. You want stuff coming in and out bit by bit to make sure you've got fresh stuff coming on there and a reason for people to come back to your store. There's nothing worse than someone coming back to your store and seeing the same stuff week after week after week. So that's important. But vitally important here is something that we've always done and something I suggest you do, and that's set up a spreadsheet with the prices you have paid for everything you've bought. So everything you see listed here, we have a spreadsheet. We know what we paid for it, what we want for it, and etc, etc, etc. And we make sure we factor in Depop costs in terms of the profit we're making to make sure it's worth our while. But the last thing you want is to go, someone to come along and say, right, I'll give you 10 quid for that jacket. And you go, okay, cool, no problem. Because I think I paid £2 for that jacket. When actually you paid £10 for that jacket, you made a loss on it. You want to be wary of what, and I'm fully aware of what you spent. So even if once a week you go over what you've got, what you bought it for, you get an idea roughly. Now, a lot of people say they can memorise that, and fair, you probably could memorise it. But is it really worth risking it? You might as well set up a page. And also what that allows you to do is keep track of what you've made. So I think we've made not far off £600 between Depop, eBay, friends and family, because we sell to friends and family, people that might like something and think, actually, I want to get that, so they come and buy it from us instead. We've made about £600 in our first month, which is good going. But every single transaction we have made is listed on there. It's also important for when it comes to like declaring what tax we've got to pay. We've got it all there, ready to go. We know what it is, and we know how it goes. But that's really Depop and selling on Depop in a nutshell. It isn't hard. Don't be put off by it. It's a grind to sort of list stuff and get stuff done and whatnot, but the rewards are clearly there. You can make a decent amount of money from it. If you're the sort of person that, maybe, I don't know, if you've got somewhere you can buy really good quality stuff from, then you could be in a good position. There's a lot of money to be made from vintage clothing. It's only getting bigger. The market's increasing every year. So if you've ever debated it, go and set up a Depop. Even if you start by selling stuff that you're not using anymore, clothes you're not wearing anymore, as your starting place. If you're thinking, right, I'm interested in this, go and get 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is that you haven't worn for a while. A rule for me, if I haven't worn anything for 3 months, I usually tend to put it onto Depop. And sell that. And any money you make from that, use that to maybe go out and buy. But the next video is going to be talking about what you should be looking to buy items for and where they're at. We're going to go around charity shops. And then the video after that is going to be comparing and giving you my opinion on the best places to pick up vintage garms. Along the way, you'll see us pick up good buys, hopefully, and stuff that we're doing. But like I say, hopefully you guys are enjoying this sort of journey that we've started and coming on the journey with us. If you are new around here, please do consider subscribing to the channel, clicking the like button and commenting down below. It does mean a huge amount to me. But for now, that is the end of the video. Peace out. I'll speak to you all soon.